Hello ladies and gentlemen, Riley the Flame Wookie Cookie here again with another video, and this is going to be my first ever episode of Political Pondering, which is basically going to be my new news series where I talk about basically news, politics, and current events and all that stuff like that. This show is going to be completely secular, independent, and this is from a liberal progressive view, but is unbiased, focuses on facts, and is completely honest, meaning I don't take money for stuff like that. Again, the view is completely unbiased and unpaid for. This is all honesty and facts, and the show is going to be uncensored, which means I will not bow to the man and again take money and lie. This is all about honesty and facts from a liberal progressive view, which is unbiased, and we do not let things like religion and stuff like that get in the way. Completely uncensored. Now today's topic is basically going to be about the war on drugs. Now, obviously, I'm a huge activist for legalization of marijuana. Personally, I am not a smoker of it, but I am completely for it because does a lot more good than it does bad. In fact, there's not really much that it does bad, but it can. I'll make a whole nother video about how it can literally save the world in some ways. But this is going to be a video about how we should legalize, get this, all drugs. Your mind's probably exploding there right now, like, Riley, how can you possibly want to legalize stuff like crack, crystal meth, and cocaine and all that stuff? Look at it this way. If somebody wants to do cocaine, crack, and all that stuff, they can do it. They really can. Why do we have laws, or why do we have laws in prison and stuff like that? We have it for two reasons: to deter people from doing said crimes, and to punish people who do said crimes. Now, do we really need to punish people for them deciding to put substances into their own bodies? And then, after that, punish them for it, and then stop people from doing what they want to do to their own bodies? Now, riddle me this. When people want to do this, they can do it right now. There's nothing stopping people from doing drugs. They can easily go and do it illegally. But if you legalize all drugs, you stop the monopolization of said drugs, and this can easily stop criminal activity. Not all of it, but you can actually do that. If you look at the 1920s or 30s, I can't remember completely off the top of my head, so much for facts, but I'm pretty sure it was the 30s. They had the alcohol probation thing, or whatever it was, where they banned all alcohol, and this allowed the mafia to actually go by and make a monopoly off of this and actually rise to power. Now, of course, I'm not against the mafia. Personally, I think that they're actually a good organization. They actually take care of their people and whatnot. I know there's some criminal activity and stuff like that, but maybe that's another video for another time. But if you were to legalize all drugs, you could stop the monopolization and actually stop gangs like Mexican cartel and all that stuff from rising, right? And not only that, but with no gangs, there's not going to be as many shootouts and all that stuff. There's not many deaths. Now, if you legalize this stuff, that means that you can actually tax it and regulate it and sell it yourself, meaning that you can make a lot more money off of the tax money, which can go towards, healthcare and all that stuff. And of course, you can actually make it safer for people to buy these drugs. I mean, if you want to buy drugs right now, it might be mixed with something else. They could put a little bit of something else in there, which makes it more addictive, so they'll keep going to that said buyer, or it might just not be good for them. But of course, if you go to a store, you can actually buy it safer now, and you can actually tax it, regulate it, and sell it yourself. So this can help the economy with the tax money, and it's actually safer for said buyer. And you're not also having people being thrown in jail for life for non-offensive crimes. And of course, with that, that's the whole point of freedom. People should be able to put whatever they want into their bodies, even if it's not safe. I mean, we have alcohol and cigarettes, but why do we have that? Because people profited off of it. And also, the U.S. government may or may not take some dark money from some companies that allow them to actually make this stuff legal. But of course, they would sell cocaine, crack, and all that stuff if people thought it was a good idea to do it. Like if people saw my video and were like, oh yeah, this is actually a good idea, let's, tax, regulate, and sell cocaine and all that stuff, and it became acceptable legally, then the government would be able to sell it, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, this is amazing, just like alcohol and cigarettes. Now, not only that, but it would actually help the economy in another way. If you look at it now, how many people are in jail for non-offensive drug crimes? All the people who are in there for marijuana possession and cocaine and all that stuff. What sounds better to you? Paying for the food and sheltering and all and the water and everything like that for all the people in jail for drug crimes? Or simply paying for maybe a little bit of health care for some people who get injured or OD while the drug is illegal? You need to remember this. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's 90 or 95. I'm pretty sure it's 90% of drug users are actually moderate users. They're not actually addicts. Only a very small amount of people who do drugs are actually addicted to said drugs. So when you look at all that, the war on drugs is basically, basically there's some prisons that in order to run, they actually have an agenda of how many people they gather in prison, which means that they actually use it to go after people who do drugs. And that's another thing. The illegalization of drugs allows for it's actually easier for systematic racism to actually imprison minorities. Because if you remember, marijuana, originally the name was just cannabis, but they used marijuana to imprison African Americans and Hispanic people. It's just like opium was made illegal so they can actually imprison Asians. I believe this was done in the 50s and a little bit earlier than that, I think, for opium. I'm not too sure on that. So when you legalize drugs, all drugs, not only can you tax it, regulate it, and sell it yourself, which will make it safer for people to actually do these drugs and actually, express their freedoms, because that's another thing too, is that if this is really a free country, although I'm talking about the world, then people should be able to do these drugs legally. They should be able to do it legally. It's their body. They can do whatever they want. You can make money off of the taxes when you sell it. It's safer for the people, and you actually tell them how much is maybe too much, and you can actually safely regulate it when you sell it. You could stop for the monopolization of these drugs, and all these, gangs will become obsolete because you can legally buy it, so that way you won't have as much crime and shooting and all that stuff. And of course, well, I already made all my points basically, so that's why I think all drugs should be illegal. Simple as that. And then you can help all those people who are in prison should be let out because they did nothing wrong. They just did what they wanted to do to their own body, which would save so much money on water, food, and all that stuff. And yeah, maybe a few people would get hurt and maybe OD, but then again, that's part of the regulating of the said drugs. So leave your comments down below. This was quite an interesting video to make. I have a lot of points, and I just expressed all of them, to be honest. So leave your comments down below if you agree with me if all drugs should be legal. I know it's quite a controversial topic to just bring up, but I really think that all of my ideas and all that stuff are quite reasonable. Personally, I think if you guys want to leave a comment down below and argue with the ideas, that's fine with me, but I really think that it would help for the economy if you were to tax and regulate the drugs and to let all those people out of jail. And then it would also allow people to, express their freedoms and actually do these drugs. And of course, like I said, only a small amount of people are who do drugs are actually addicted to it and are not moderate users. So this has been Riley the Flaming Wookie Cookie. Catch you guys next time. Also quickly, I forgot one last point. If all drugs were legalized, you'd be able to disband the DEA and thus take all of the workers and resources and put them towards everything else in the government or any other funds that the police need. So then you have all of that money, all that equipment, and you bring it over to the rest of the police department, and then the police can take their own resources against drugs and put it towards other stuff. I forgot to put that one last point. That's one of the biggest points there is, to be honest. So yeah, this is Ryan the Flaming Wookie Cookie. I'll catch you guys next time.